Too many things are just not built to last, and today I want to talk about it. I am surrounded by devices that are essentially disposable. True wireless IEMs are a great example. When the battery dies, you have to throw them out and buy a new pair. You're not going to replace the tiny batteries in those. But there's a bunch of other things. Things you might not consider, like this. Now, you can technically replace the battery in this. You can replace the screen on it. But once you do, this device is never going to be the same. It's not going to have the same water resistance, and if you have a third party do it, well, the device might lose features and support. Without third-party workarounds, the iPhone will not have True Tone anymore on its display. The battery health percentage will no longer read properly, and plenty of other issues. This camera, which is made for shooting 6K video, well, it's not user serviceable. There's lots of parts on it that absolutely could be, but they're not. And as a result, now that the HDMI port on this camera has stopped working, well, I'm just out of luck. But not all devices are the same way. Things like this, the Analog Pocket, have breakdowns on iFixit showing how you can replace the battery without any adverse side effects and replace plenty of other parts. Now granted, there's things on the PCB that you just won't be able to replace easily yourself, but at least you have the ability to do so. And if you replace the battery in this with another battery that's basically the same thing, the device isn't going to give you a software restriction on that changed out part. It's another reason I love things like the Steam Deck, where you can essentially 3D print a whole new chassis for it, where there's complete teardowns and guides on how to repair it and modify yourself. Or things like this, the HD6XX, the 600 and the 650, are all modular. You can essentially take apart the entire headphone piece by piece until it is down to just about nothing. And even then, there's still more to be taken out. This driver I can pop out with a couple of tools right here that are easy to do so. This headband can be disassembled down to its bare individual components, all the way down with, well, minimal tools required. Maybe a small plastic pry tool or a flathead screwdriver, and that's really it. This is a thoughtfully designed piece of equipment that's made to last, that's made so the user can service it and repair it at home with ease. And as a result, it's been one of the most iconic and lasting designs in the audio industry. These have been around for a really long time, and they're not going anywhere anytime soon. People love these headphones, and whenever they break, they can just fix them. If you want to change something, it's easy to do so, and there's tons of replacement parts floating around out there, but you can also order replacement parts straight from Sennheiser. I'm not trying to get this to be like a Sennheiser ad or something, it's just a good example. This iPod was not originally designed to be a repairable device, but it's something that has been modified anyway. There's spare parts, and a community has been built around these, around fixing them, modifying them, doing all kinds of neat things. This one has a bigger battery and an SSD inside of it. But this bothers me a lot. Things are not designed to last forever. And things won't last forever even if they are designed to. That solid state headphone amplifier you buy that's a ton of money, that's not going to last forever. Components in that have a shelf life. Eventually they're going to stop working. Capacitors, resistors, other various things, potentiometers, the 6.3mm jack on or the 4.4, the XLR, so on. XLRs might last a little longer, but still you get the idea. Eventually that piece of equipment is going to fail, and when it does, well, are you going to be able to fix it? Are you going to be allowed to fix it by the manufacturer? This is a really tough problem, and there's lots of things in audio where the manufacturers will honor servicing of expensive pieces of equipment long after their standard lifespan has expired. When I was in England, I saw Chord Electronics was servicing units that were very old, and while people are not servicing them at home, I do respect a lot of the manufacturers still willing to do so. Keep those units active instead of just telling someone, hey, you know, this is an old last year model, time for you to buy the new one. When in reality, the old model is just as good. The only real conceivable difference between these two phones I'm holding in my hand right now is that there is a different plug on the bottom and a different battery size. Now, I know the chips are different, the cameras are slightly different, but realistically, in terms of how the phone performs, the only real difference is the battery size and the port on the bottom. There's another good rabbit hole to go down, things like the Fairphone. I think that is a great example of a device that is, in a lot of ways, as far as its repairability is concerned, excellent, but in its execution, lackluster. So it's great to have a repairable device, but if the device itself sucks, then no one's going to want to buy it and repair it. No one's going to want to buy it and keep using it once it breaks. I would love it if there was a Fairphone that had the same sort of premium features of something like a OnePlus, even like a mid-range OnePlus or a nothing phone, because the concept of Fairphone is great. It's a concept that We really should have gotten in something like Project Ara or Phone Blocks, Google's modular phone design that when the phone started to age out of its lifespan, you could simply replace the camera with a newer one, or replace the processor with a newer one, the battery with a newer one without changing out the entire phone. It was a brilliant idea. It had a lot of complications, but it was a brilliant idea. And we see that alive now in companies like Framework. If you don't have Framework, they make laptops that are essentially modular and repairable. If you want to upgrade the laptop in a few years, you can just swap out the main board in it, or throw more RAM in, swap in a new battery, change out the keyboard, the display, even the ports on the side to different ports that you want, and you can actually customize it and make your own ports, your own modules to plug into it. It's a brilliant device. Had I the use for one, I would own a Framework, and I wish that all of my devices functioned like a Framework. It's why I still have a desktop PC that I use for gaming, things like that, because whenever something breaks on that computer, I can replace a part and fix it easily. Now, I also have this. This is the opposite of the spectrum. It's an M1 MacBook Pro. I got this when they first launched with the M1s because I'm very enthusiastic about ARM technology. I think the efficiency and performance benefits of ARM in very specific applications can be incredible, and that's why I use this for a lot of video editing. It's also why I just straight up refuse to replace it, because I want to get my full service life out of this computer. But eventually, it's not going to work anymore. And when it does, I'm not going to be able to fix it because this computer is not designed to be fixed. You can swap a battery out on it, but let's say you need to swap out, well, the display, or even something simple like part of a RAM module. Well, you can't. The entire main board of this computer, the whole thing is soldered together, and you're not going to be able to change out any components. When it is dead, it is a brick, and you can change the internals and resell it, but you're essentially replacing the whole computer then. Which is a shame, because I would love for this device and the performance I get out of this device for video editing to be available in a device that was more modular. But it just isn't the case. So is there a specific thing that I'm trying to point you towards today? Is there a product I'm trying to sell? No, but what I would encourage you to do as consumers, if you care about this, is continue to try and vote with your wallets. If you have something that works, something that is already lasting you, try to hold on to it. Maybe you don't need that new headphone. Maybe you don't need that new phone upgrade. Do you have something that's just a little bit damaged? Is there a way you can fix it? I think these are things that we should do more as a society, because I see us moving more and more towards just disposable technology, and I don't love it. Things that do not have replaceable batteries, things like the non-stop true wireless IEMs, which some are fantastic. I love the OnePlus Buds Pro 2, I love the Nothing Ear 2, I love the AirPods Pro 2. But all those devices at the end of the day are disposable devices. They are not going to be repaired whenever that battery goes out. They're not going to be repaired when a radio in them breaks or when they get water damage. They're going to be thrown out and replaced. And it's an unfortunate side effect of the world we live in today. Not to be a super downer about it, but this is something that I really, really care about. And I hope that you guys care about it too. Now, there's a million messages you could attach to this. You could say it's because we need to protect the environment. You could say it's because we have a limited amount of resources. But really, for me, it's just because I don't like being wasteful. And if you don't care about any of that, that's fine. You can be wasteful, no one's going to stop you. But I do think it's better to buy something that'll last your whole life. I have a little watch that's a Seiko. I love it, and I think that watch is going to last my whole life. If something happens to it, I can take it somewhere and have it repaired. My record player, every piece on that is modular. I can take it apart and I can repair it if something breaks. Even down to things like my pans. I try to buy pans that are supposed to last me for my whole life, things that I can take care of and maintain. And it's impossible to do this in every conceivable facet. But when you really start to buckle down and focus on things that will last and things you can take care of, it's amazing not only how much money you save, but how much more you grow to appreciate the things you have. I know a lot of you guys are into keyboards. This is a Keychron, nice hefty keyboard that I absolutely love. It's got a tape mod in it. It has silent alpaca switches and ceramic keycaps. And this is a keyboard I've had for a while. It's a keyboard I plan to keep for a long time because I love it, and if anything breaks on it, I can swap out the parts. I can do solder repairs on this board very easily. I could swap out the switches, any switch on here. I can swap out this USB port on the back. This is a keyboard that could conceivably last me for a decade, if not longer. As long as the way we interact with computers doesn't dramatically change overnight, which it entirely could. And there's another point too. We're getting into this age of things like VR headsets, which are really, really cool, but a lot of them are going to be designed to be disposable. A device that when it breaks, you're not going to be able to fix it. The manufacturer isn't going to be able to fix it, and when it's done, you're just going to have to throw it out and buy a new one. A friend of mine is an excellent example of a human being when it comes to tech. Which, if you're watching this, Isaac, hello. Isaac's been one of my friends for as long as I can remember. I used to go to his house and we'd stay up late at night. We combined some computer parts we had together and would play Amnesia: The Dark Descent on his computer in his garage, which was like a million degrees because we live in Tennessee. Isaac is very good at taking care of his tech. He has a laptop. I don't know what generation it is. I think it has a 10 series GPU in it, but he bought it back when it was new and has continually replaced parts on it over time. And this is, a computer that is not necessarily designed to be hyper repairable, but he's gone out of his way to repair it again and again and again. Fix the hinges, replace the batteries, all these things here and there. And he has kept this machine running. And it serves him very well. And even when the machine is getting to a point where the performance in the GPU wasn't holding up as much, well, he plugged it up to an eGPU enclosure and he's still using the laptop. Just now with an external GPU. And this is a machine that's not designed to have the GPU hardware swap, but he found a way to make it still work and still suit his needs in a way that is honestly great. And I wish that more people were like him. I wish that more people took care of what they had and found ways to make it last. Because those are also the people that when they do get something new, when they finally decide to replace that thing, when it's finally time for it to go, they're really going to be careful with what they get. They're going to get something that's going to last them a long time, something they know they're going to take care of, and they're really going to appreciate it. Because when you get that new phone every year, how much do you really appreciate it? I think he's the perfect person for a framework laptop because it's a laptop designed to be repairable, and he's had his eyes on one for a long time. So when he finally does get that framework, I fully expect to see him using that computer in like a decade. Now, it'll probably have some different parts in it by then. In fact, it'll definitely have some different parts in it by then. Kind of the laptop of Theseus, but you get the idea. That computer will still be serviceable, it'll still be functional, and I love that. If there is something in your life that you really love, something that's repairable, something you think that's going to last you forever, that you're going to try and make last forever, let me know what it is. Leave me a comment down below. Help other people discover what it is that you found, that gem that you're going to be able to hold on to forever. And I think that is going to wrap up my little rant today. So guys, if you like this video, leave a like down below, comment letting me know what you want to see in the future. If you want to get active in the community, you can have the Discord or the forum, both available at the link in the video description. As always, don't forget to stick around and subscribe for more videos like this in the future. Until next one, guys. Peace.